I've gone through a lot of growth, I personally believe, in the last season. I made so many new friends that I thought I would never make, and I accomplished a lot more than I thought I could possibly do within the year. And I find myself starting this new season now with fall right around the corner, and I find myself back at square one. I find myself being trapped in an old way of thinking, old bad habits that I thought I had overcome already. And yet, with the start of this new season, they just somehow found their way back into my life. And the moment I find myself going down the first bad habit, whether that's staying up too late or whether that's choosing to click the snooze button on my alarm, I go down this spiral of more bad habits of not just I'm just not able to live up to the type of person that I set myself out to be at the start of this year. You know, we all had our New Year's resolutions. I found myself starting this year off wanting to become a more disciplined person, somebody who was capable of committing to who he wanted to be and what I wanted to do. And now that the season is almost over, or the year is almost over, I know I've lived up to a lot of what I set out for, but there's so much more to accomplish, and I find myself at the start consistently failing now to really take off and to be consistent and to really develop that routine of who I want to be. And that to me is like waking up at a more rigid time, in the sense that like I'm not sleeping in, I'm not pressing the snooze button all the time, and I'm not allowing myself to procrastinate on a lot of the goals. And you know, even this was one of the goals, was just simply going out, and I'm literally in a forest behind my house right now recording a video, and yet I procrastinated for at least 3 months on simply making something like this. And that comes down to me having a failed attempt at starting and being consistent, and also just not wanting to start it because it felt scary. It feels scary to start something new, and to know you're not going to be good at it right away, and to know that you're going to fail at it multiple times, and to know that the path is so long. But I think that that's also what makes the path so exciting. You start off as somebody who's completely green, and you get to watch the build up to where you inevitably will be. And I even brought my journal with me today, because I wrote down in July 27th about failed attempts and about how I need to become more disciplined to be the person that I want to be. And it's going to take strength, and it's going to take belief, and it's going to take faith, and it's also going to take works. It's going to take works. It's going to take work to become who I want to be. And to get there, to see myself having written that in July, and to find myself now at the startups in the middle of September, rather, and knowing that I'm still working on that same goal, it's a bit discouraging. I can't lie. It's a bit of fear that I'm always going to stay the same. There's so much stagnant energy in my mind right now, and as much as I've tried to release it and become more of the person that I want to be, the more disciplined, the individual who is capable of living up to his words and his dreams, I find myself taking 2 steps back for every step that I take forward. And it could very well be a failure on my part to allow for those steps to prevent me from being who I am. But these defeats that I'm facing right now, they are just temporary. I'm not going to let them get in the way of where I want to be. And I think that for a lot of us, when we find ourselves being set back, facing defeats, especially facing failed attempts to start anything, it's so easy for us to become discouraged and to want to just allow for that defeat to become a failure, and never allowing for ourselves the second chance to try again and keep on trying. It's going to take a dozen, 100. It's going to take a lot of effort. And no matter how many times it takes for me to get to where I want to be, I'm not going to quit on it. And I think that is in itself the most important part, is having that spirit that really never quits on yourself. That belief in yourself, that belief in your works, the belief in the value of what you provide and what you are doing, whether it's just for yourself, some fun project, or whether you want to impact others, whether you want to impact the people you love, the people you care for, your friends, your family. It's gonna take consistent work no matter how many setbacks we face. And I personally don't feel like I'm going to allow myself to give up on my dreams and my hopes and my goals, no matter how many setbacks that I face, even in this season, because I think they're meant to teach us a valuable lesson. They're meant to teach us the strength that we need, the courage that it's going to take for us to become the people that we set out for, the goals that we set out. And most of all, it's going to take faith, and it's going to take patience. Because for me, I expect things to come so quickly. I expect myself to just turn around and the next day I'm suddenly the man that I always envisioned myself to be. And seeing the slow growth that I've gone through this season and in the past few couple of years, it's taught me that I have the ability to be who I want to become and to accomplish the things that I want to. It just simply won't ever work in the timeline that I set out for myself, because when I rush it, when I tell myself I need to accomplish something immediately, it seeks to entrap me in this way of thinking that if I don't get it done now, I'm never going to get it done. And that's just simply not true, because I'm going to start giving myself the time, the ease, the grace to keep on moving forward towards my dreams, my goals, no matter how many times. And this is one of my goals, is starting to create simple content to connect with others, to hear about other people who face the same, not problems, but the same hardships in their own paths to get to where they want to be. And if you feel the same way, then I hope that you stick with me, because this is going to be something that I'm going to work on to be consistent for, and to reveal the growth that I accomplish and that will happen to me eventually, inevitably with time. It's not going to happen on my own timeline. It's going to happen the way that it needs to. I'm going to be right where I need to be, and I'm going to start allowing myself the grace to just be patient with it, but to just put in a little bit of work and to be kind. I think that that's the most important part of when we feel like we're failing, when we feel like we aren't being the people that we want to, and we're not living up to our own expectations, is to be kind to ourselves. Because, you know, the inner dialogue, it always wants to be more critical to ourselves than to really anybody. And I don't want to be like that to myself, because I wouldn't treat somebody that I love the way that I treat myself, in being harsh and cruel, and the way that I speak to myself when I fail. And I hope that today you treat yourself with a little bit of kindness and a little bit of grace. And thank you. Thank you for listening to me. It's a beautiful day.